and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Alex. I am a triathlete, former competitive swimmer, tax accountant, bicycle mechanic, law student, among other things during my day-to-day life. I like to talk about triathlon and managing to balance all of that training with having a regular 9-to-5 job and other responsibilities. So without continuing to bore you with my new intro, while I continue to test them out, let's jump into today's video, which is about a topic I really enjoy, which is strength training and why you should do it as a triathlete. So I decided to make this video because someone I recently started following is training really high volume, but I noticed in the comments of one of his videos, he said that he's actually not strength training at all. Now, I'm obviously not his coach, so I'm not going to comment on him specifically. I am sure that they have a plan in place for the goals that he wants to meet, but I did want to talk generally about why endurance athletes should be strength training. So there are a few main benefits that you're going to get from strength training. So I personally have found with strength training, there's definitely a feeling of accomplishment that comes with every single time you can lift a new weight. And that doesn't just come from your big lifts, so in my case, squats or bench pressing or deadlifts. It can also come from any other movement or any other goal you have. So in my case, I'm working towards push-ups, and every time I can lower that bar that I'm using for an incline or do one more rep, I feel really great about it. So there's definitely that sense of accomplishment as you gain strength. And building up strength and strength training can also, obviously, one, you're gonna be able to put out more power when doing things like biking, but one of the benefits a lot of people don't talk about is actually increased bone density. So not only can it affect you currently, it can also affect you long term. So strength training I cannot talk today. Strength training can help you to increase bone density if you're doing it in the earlier parts of your life. Once you hit a certain age, it is very difficult to build up additional bone density. So that's why it's important to start doing it when you're younger, especially women who tend to have more issues with bone density as they get older. I personally will also mention that there are certain birth controls that can lead to decreased bone density in women. So I would say it's definitely something that we all need to think about and consider adding strength training in just to benefit your health. And when I say adding strength training in, I don't mean you need to be in the gym doing a typical bro split 5 days a week. There are a lot of different ways that you can incorporate strength training and make it work for you. So the second kind of benefit, and pretty much the rest of them kind of work together. So I'll start with, let's see. Well, we said strength and bone density, that's 2. And these next 2 to 3 kind of go together. So you can correct muscle imbalance. It can help to correct muscle imbalances. So I will be the first to admit I actually discovered I had quite a few of them that I was unaware of previously when I started strength training with my personal trainer last year. So even things as simple as my biceps, doing bicep curls, my left arm always fails before my right. And then it's really interesting on legs, my right leg, because I have some issues with my hip, is actually one that usually fails before my left. So by doing unilateral movements during your strength sessions, you can actually help to improve these imbalances, which then can also help with preventing injury. Strength training overall also can help with preventing injury. And then my last point is actually improved efficiency as a result of, improved coordination. So one of the things I noticed when I started strength training again was I actually was struggling with lunges, which came as a big surprise to me because I remember, and I just turned 30, so this was 12 years ago, but I remember doing lunges around the pool when I was in high school and having to basically get your back knee almost all the way to the ground every single lunge. And I remember being able to do that no problem. So when I wasn't able to do that and I felt extremely unstable on my lunges, it definitely came as a surprise for me. So one of the things you can gain from strength training is also going to be that improved coordination, not only from imbalances, but also from, improved stability. Sorry, today is really not my day for filming. This is actually my second try at filming this video because I felt like I was all over the place in the last take, and I do have a lot of footage that we're going to be adding into this. So definitely there are a lot of benefits. Now, the other things I want to talk about are how much you need to strength train, which I typically say, if you're a triathlete and you're training especially for a long distance event, you obviously need a lot of sport specific training. So I would aim to get at least one full body day in a week. And if you're either like me and you just enjoy strength training, or you have more time, or you're in your off season and really want to focus on building up your strength, I would say anywhere between 2 to 3 days a week is more than enough. And it may vary throughout your year. So like I said, you may be in your off season, maybe you add in a third day, and maybe the rest of the year you're like me and you do 2. Or maybe on season you do 1, off season you do 2 or 3. It just depends on you, your needs, and also making sure that you're as efficient with your time as possible. The big thing I would encourage you to do is to incorporate some sort of strength training weekly into your schedule year round. So the last thing is going to be what movements you should focus on. And so I would say the biggest thing is to look for functional movements. And so when I say functional, I'm not talking about CrossFit. That is actually that is how I used to define functional strength training, just because that's what people said at that point. That was also 8 years ago. I'm actually talking about movements that mimic or help with things you do in everyday life, or in this case swimming, biking, and running. So what I like to write, some of the movements I would use as an example are a straight arm pull down. So that's a lat movement, so usually using a cable machine, starting up and pulling straight down. I've done it either with the straight bar, or I've done it with the rope attachments before, and that is going to be very similar to some movements in swimming. I would also say finishing your stroke is very, I'll show my arm here. Finishing your stroke, I guess I have to show it here to show tricep extension, so from your hip, your arm going down. That one is an isolation movement. I do typically try to, for the most part, do compound movements as well, because those are going to recruit multiple muscle groups. So if you're trying to be as efficient with your time as possible, compound movements are going to be the better way to go. And for me, you will see, if I show my strength training, you will see some isolations. That's just because I go 2 days a week and I do an upper body day and a lower body day. If I was doing, say, a full body day, I would not do quite as many isolation movements, or I might not do any at all, and I would just do compound movements to try and be as efficient with my time as possible. So the last thing I will touch on with movement selection is bilateral versus unilateral movements. So that would be things like if you are doing a lat pull, so starting with both arms and using the bar straight across and pulling down, versus I do have a video I will insert here that is a single arm lat pull down. So that's going to be working unilaterally, which is going to be great for any muscle imbalances. And I specifically have some of my shoulders and train back to help with that. So that's also going to be a benefit to me right there as well. So that is my general strength training advice for triathletes. I tried to make this a quick and nice video, and I've got plenty of strength training footage throughout it, hopefully, as long as I figured out the editing. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you in the next one.